The book, 철학, 예술을 읽다 is very motivational book for extending our experiences viewing the arts and their theories about it. The whole essays collected in this book are specially proposed ones engaged in for the publication of the book, and so I would like not to omit the contents. This part of the book review will be concerning 7th and 8th chapter in the first part of the book. The 7th chapter deals with arts as media, and the 8th chapter as parallelism between science and arts. These two chapters close the first part of the book, which complete the project of first part of the book, which is defining arts, artists, and artworld, and the application more in-depth of the definition of the arts. The first 6 arrangement of the part 1 have watched out how standard view of the definitions. The last 2 arrangement of the part 1 is what we can see in depth about more specific view onto the arts more than standard topics, about the definition of arts. The 7th chapter started with art as communication. The communication is established with 2 parts, and communicate each other via media. The media exist between one part and the other part, and carries out the meaning of it. The meaning is carried out for communication. The meaning is conducive from artworks to audiences. This means that the arts are communicative media. So, if we focus more on the media as property of arts, the understanding about art can be extended. According to Marshall McLuhan, media is important constituent of arts, and artists are the most sentient beings who detect of new media appeared by technological advancement. The technological advancement of new media allowed the artists' need for crafting that can be breaking constraints in it, who try to cope with it by utilizing the new media to change the ways of arts. The painters were first people who used camera obscura, new pigment, and image formation technologies. The artist's sentient use of media can develop new art forms, and it is leading out revolutionary changes to the art world. The development of tube pigment, development of canvas and easel, could make them with ease of portability of the instruments, so it was leading out revolutionary changes towards the way of artists, how painting can be extended to express their ideas. The artistic trip was possible, and the scope of painting can express is extended from the utilization of new media. This revolution is why so important is that new utilization of media led out the development of new art forms, and how it can implement the contents too. The development of photography as new media, for example, would lead out the worries of painters who had unique professional skills that would be deprived by photographic technologies. They developed new ways of expressing contents of paintings. Cubism and Dadaism are paramount example. The utilization of new media challenges the traditional ways more artistic. It also allows artists' attitude and audience's attitude, the active participation of virtual reality device, the free flow of imagination is encouraged by the utilization of new media. So, the author ends the chapter with the closing statement as, media is art's expansion of humans. It means media is not only tool or instruments, it changes fundamental properties of arts itself, as a humanistic experiential expansion of arts. This is 7th chapter is talking about. The 8th chapter is interesting chapter of first part of the book, about parallelism between arts and science. It is controversy on how we think about relationship with the two professional areas. It is so interesting topic. The bias intuition would tyrannically state science is superior and arts are inferior. The author of the 8th chapter objectifies this common sense. His composition of explanation is based on historical observation of real figures. It would be helpful to see how science and arts conflate. The oldest historical situations, science and arts were not distinguished rigidly as today's view. The science was stemmed upon superficial conceptions. Melancholy, for example, was believed as imbalance in one or more of the 4 basic bodily liquids. This was medical conceptions of the era. Philosophy, poetry and fine arts also were influenced by the conception of melancholy. The melancholy was researched by astrology and Renaissance era too, which converged into the interest of artists who crafted their works of art with the emotional development of it. The oldest historical era, science was superficial phase of it, while arts was also conflation with it. After 17th century Europe, there were people who had interest on the science and arts with talented perspectives of their implementation of artworks. 16th century figure Leonardo da Vinci, for example, remained many drawings about scientific instruments and anatomy. The camera obscura was also example how science and arts conflated. In this era, science and arts are not rigidly distinguished regions. The book Einstein's Space and Van Gogh's Sky maintained that Van Gogh's moon and Einstein's moon are different professional styles, but the object is same and the difference is only what expressive style is used for the ones. The both styles are equal in the expression of their ideas about same object. The modern success of more strict style of science makes common myth science is superior and arts are inferior is erroneous myth because it is only difference in style. This is discussed in the scientific history too. Thomas Kuhn, Hansen, Feyerabend, Ackermann, Kubler, Hafner, Ruth Bernstein exchanged their opinions about this topic and about various perspectives on it. According to this discussion, artists' faith can be constrained their works of art, scientists are same, in the case of Galileo's faith. The difference between the two is that artworld does not define success of certain opinions move on to encroachment against other relatively unsuccessful opinions. Science has elite system but no avant-garde. Ruth Bernstein objectified it. It says that Kuhn's view about science replaced wrong discoveries into right one immediately, is not always. Copernicus' discovery was delayed to be approved in his era, after 150 years from his publication. People also have tendency to know more about astrology rather than astronomy, so is similarly to arts and science. The truthfulness too, it is not property of sole area of profession, it is pursued in how we do it. The belief that unrealism in perceptual consequence is not solely for system of artworld, scientific system of geocentrism to heliocentrism, science world too, similarly challenges as in the case cubist paintings, the reality is relative and dependent on what criteria we are concerning too. Picasso did not expel Rembrandt, or Darwin or Pasteur did not expel Galileo or Newton. What is ruined was not classical texts but magazines and summaries of them. In this view, science and arts are not different properties in truth-seeking orientation, not confrontative or parallelism which actually can traverse by drawing more lines between the two parallel lines. The two areas are the worldview or activity of understanding, whose difference is only symbolic uniqueness. Confer this view from the example of Van Gogh's moon and Einstein's moon, which was claimed by scientist-author, and the debates above. The more advocate of this view is by Goodman, for example, maintained that the delineation of science as more friendly with knowledge or more superior cognized endeavor is erroneous, not simple question. The actual determination to the response of this question would be entangled with many constituents. There is only how we cognize the understanding of it and how to symbolize it. The truth-seeking can be possible in both areas. The hypothesis is popular term in science, not in arts is because the term is used in determination dealing with factual judgment. The difference could exist occasionally, it exists both areas and similar features on it. There would be good science and bad science, and good arts and bad arts. The dichotomy only one of it is true is wrong opinion according to what he maintains. The superior or inferior delineation is dependent on the technological advancement is supportive for scientific way of discovering. However, according to author, technological utilization exists both areas. It is as explored earlier, scientists sketches on planets and anatomy, painters do it something. Photographers take pictures and criminologists too. The real genius has interest in both areas. The 8th chapter explains this view, science and arts converge in terms of similarity. The conclusion the author draws out is that, 1. The features of science and arts cannot be delineated superior or inferior issue in unchanging conditions defining them. 2. The expressive style is different, but both ones are representative about humans and the world as truthfulness. 3. The intellects and emotion, inferences and intuition, world-making endeavor is convergent at both areas. The science and arts came from the motivation to represent the world, it is related with the fact science started from philosophical endeavor. The art is also motivation to represent the world. The quantitative method of modern science let out science is only rational endeavor, is true, however, it is just state not falsified yet. This is contents of 8th chapter. We explored 1st chapter throughout 8th chapter, it finishes part 1 of the book. The whole objectivity was to define arts, artists, and artworld, the two extensions of the topics with the perspective of various applications about the definition. It requires something to be specific mind to look out meaningful reading, it is very great time to read the book. The next part of book review, I am going to introduce the other writings in the part 2 of the book. Please explore the reviews when I upload, I would have rewarded by your support for it.